anyone who needs to be taught a
All right, hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to Comic Book Radio. Thanks for being here. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti. This is episode 131, and tonight my guest is EDWIN ACEVEDO, and we're going to be talking about inspiring the next generation of comic readers and creators. This is a topic that was introduced to me by EDWIN himself. He wants to talk about this tonight, and I'm happy to do so with him. He's also got a book out right now that's currently funding on Fund My Comic, so you guys can go check that out. It's called Bloodbone. The link is in the description of the show. Frederick, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. We got Grape Nuka-Cola in the chat as well. What's up, Grape Nuka-Cola? Drawing Aces. There's EDWIN right there in the chat as well. Ben Spar, what's up, Ben? Hope you're doing good. Jaded One is here. How's it going? Hope you're doing good. We got What Geeks Do Network is here. Says excited for the show. Hope y'all are well. I hope you're well too. World Wizard, what's up? Hope you're doing good. We got Brian Suddenly Old in the house. How's it going, Brian? Wayne is here in the chat. Also, Boombots. What's up, Boombots? Yan Zhao is here too. How's it going, Yan Zhao? We also got Ronan Dust here. What's up, Ronan? Says his book looks cool. Yeah, check that out. It's description has the link. Looks cool. Looks good. All right. We're going to have EDWIN pop on in just a moment to describe it to you in less vague terms than what I am offering at the moment. So without further ado, let's bring him on, the man of the hour, EDWIN ACEVEDO. What's up, EDWIN?
Hey, what's going on, Peter?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah. The book does look cool. What's it about?
Yeah, so Bloodbone's the story of a man who returns to his hometown after being gone for several years, and he discovers that it's been overtaken by a criminal organization. So he decides to become a mass vigilante to take back his city.
Oh, what was the inspiration for that?
It's very much inspired by the first two seasons of Arrow. For anybody who kind of watched, Oliver comes back from being gone from the island after several years, and he returns kind of motivated and completely changed. He's looking to do good and, clean up his city and kind of, help it reach the place where he believes it should be. So it took some inspiration from that, inspiration from a lot of like street level kind of like heroes, kind of like Daredevil, Spider-Man, mixing a couple different elements of it, like that.
Who's the artist on it?
The artist is Donald DeLay.
Oh, okay. Who did the cover? Is that Donald? This
cover is by Shelby Robertson.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I didn't think that Donald drew that way. It didn't look familiar to me with his work, but I know he's got a couple different styles that he can incorporate. So Shelby, you said, did the cover for that?
Yep, he colored it, the whole thing. That was Shelby original.
Oh, cool. Very cool. All right. So the topic tonight, you introduced that to me, saying that you wanted to discuss that. Why is this important to you in terms of inspiring the next generation of comic readers and creators? What does that mean to you?
I mean, I'm somebody who was inspired by the generation I grew up with. I like to call myself an early 90s baby. That's when I got introduced to comics. Spider-Man was the first. Deadly Foes of Spider-Man #4, first comic book I ever picked up at the store.
You said Spider-Man 4?
Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. It's a 4-issue.
Oh, Deadly.
Series.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
4-issue limited series. So imagine trying to figure out what's going on as a young kid, but it was still incredible. Seeing Spider-Man, Rhino, Hydra, all these kind of different villains facing off with Spider-Man was awesome. Then,
what drew you to that?
The cover, right there,
Yeah.
and you had a Beetle, Spider-Man, all these different people fighting, and as a kid, you're just drawn to the colors, you're drawn to the art. And like I said, once I looked at the pages, I was hooked. I couldn't wait to go next week to see what else they had. And that's when I discovered X-Men after that. Uncanny X-Men 283, Will Sportatio art, Storm and Bishop on the cover. That was life-changing. Like, to this day, I still remember, like, going up to spinner rack and just grabbing it in my hand and just looking at it and be like, what is this? I thought Spider-Man was great. This is a whole other level. I was hooked ever since and been collecting ever since, you know. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
inspire that for the next generation. I want people to look at something that I've done or some people in my sphere have done and be motivated to like buy and get into, go into the old school, you know, discover different, all these great comics books that happened over the last decades from, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you know, like, so yeah, it's a big deal to me.
Why is it important to you that
I love
happens?
comics, man. Like, people can't tell you comics is, you know, was my number one love for many years, comics and pro wrestling. And those two loves I never broke out of, even when I'm an adult. You know, I'm still fascinated by both worlds.
Oh
So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Yeah, as you could see from the intro of the show, I feel the same way. Although not as much about
great
modern
intro.
pro
Yeah.
wrestling, but
No, it's not the same. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They kind of run parallel, right? The
Hmm.
comics and pro wrestling.
Yeah, they
They
both have
kind
their
of,
ups and downs. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And even now, it seems like pro wrestling, just like comics, there's more of a movement towards the independent, towards the non-mainstream corporate run thing that maybe everybody knows about, but maybe it's not really speaking as true to people anymore. And you're finding more of that groundswell of independence that are coming up is really speaking to people. For you, when did you start creating? What around what year would you say?
I started about, you know, 2018 is when I first started working on the Ace. It took about a year for me to work on it before I was ready to kind of introduce it to the world and before it started getting crowdfunded. Uh, so yeah, that was kind of my first project.
And what led you to want to be a creator?
I mean, that was my dream as a kid. You know, I dreamt of you know, being an artist. You know, I believed in the whole Marvel bullpen, all that kind of stuff. I used to read Stan Lee's soapbox. You know, you know that I believed all that kind of stuff. You know, didn't really have the artistic skills to pursue it, sadly. But you know, I always, you know, I was always creating my own kind of little heroes and my own little stories. Even as a kid, I'd have all these little notebooks filled with like badly drawn characters. You know, I was super into that, creating these worlds, these heroes, these adventures. It's always something that it's really, you know, it's been in my blood since I was a teenager.
Can you remember any names of them?
Only one I can remember is Inferno. He's kind of like bit of like Firestorm mixed with a Human Torch.
That's a
It's
good
kind of the
name.
only one that I remember. I used to have a whole notebook, but I lost kind of everything from back in my childhood in a fire in like 2000. So
Oh,
like I don't really have any. All my old comics are gone. All my old kind of scrapbooks are gone. So
oh
yeah,
man,
it's
that's
kind of all
horrible.
gone. Yeah,
Are you slowly rebuilding that collection back?
I didn't really like. To me, it's like early 2000s. I'd pretty much been kind of tapped out. You know, like there's like 4 year period on like 2004 when Jeff Johns did Green Lantern Rebirth. That was kind of what re-sparked my interest in comics again. But from like 2000 2004, I'd basically kind of had tapped out. You know, I didn't think comics could get any better than you know, finishing up those X-Men runs that I hold very dearly to my heart.
Oh,
And
so
then
you still
2004,
you still have those?
yeah, I ended up getting
Oh,
basically
okay.
all the X-Men comics. You know, so those something I definitely had to get back. Yeah, those are still near and dear to my heart.
Gotcha. Um, who would you say was a creator that was really influential to you in terms of you as a creator?
The biggest influence is Jeff Johns. You know,
Oh wow, okay.
like I said, with Green Lantern, it really re-sparked my love of comics, of like storytelling. One of the things that I used to like write the Ace was he did a director's cut of Blackest Night #1 that he put out, and I remember he has his entire script of the issue, including notes to artist, and that was really the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. So anytime I tried to write, I would try to adapt that kind of style. The way he broke pages down, panels, his notes to artist, all that kind of stuff is a kind of building block of like everything that I've done.
Before that point, how did you think comics were made or put together?
I didn't really know. Like I said, I'd never really seen anything like that before. Anytime I try to write a story, I would write it down mostly kind of like almost like I'm writing a book. You know,
Mm.
I've never really gotten into have seen any templates of like how a comic book script is different. And like I said, once I saw that issue number 1 script, it really kind of like got in my head. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Like the way he formulated it all down made sense to me. Like it made it like, oh, I think similarly to this. I can kind of break it down in this way, and that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
what I've done.
It's kind of like seeing how a drawing is broken down, right?
Mhm,
When you see the finished piece, you're like, man, I don't know how the heck they did that.
mhm. Yeah,
And then when you start seeing the script and the breakdown like that, you're like, oh, so it's like you take it a bit by bit, and it's a lot
mhm,
easier than all of a sudden you could piece it together. Uh,
definitely.
Give me 3 or 4 of your top favorite characters or titles.
Green Lantern being my number 1, followed by X-Men, and then Spider-Man. Those would be my top 3.
All right. Now here's the hard part. Pick one of them. Gone forever.
That hurts my heart. Out of those 3, I would go with Spider-Man. That makes it easier. Guys, you can keep
Oh,
X-Men
see
and
ya,
Green Lantern.
Spidey.
See you,
Gone
Spidey.
forever.
You're my introduction, but you gotta go.
Spider-Man no more.
No.
Any particular reason why Spidey has to go of the 3 you love?
It's just much more passionate about X-Men and Green Lantern. Like countless rereads, like different story arcs and stuff. It really like everything that I love can be distilled into those. Like I would hand runs to anybody that I would try to make a comic book fan. Those would be the first 2 that I would look for, because I think it has the incredibly dynamic art. It's got the big kind of epic stories and the stuff that you can follow issue through issue. And I think those did it very well.
Yeah, I love Claremont's entire run on X-Men. I love that. Yeah, that's just quintessential X-Men. Yeah, that's a tough choice though between
That is
those.
tough. I love Spidey too. I mean, him and Mary Jane. That's the way they're written has always had a very soft spot for me. I think that they're absolutely the best comic book couple ever. It's a shame that it's kind of been forgotten.
Yeah, yeah. At this point, I guess it'd be a little bit easier to give Spidey a mercy killing,
Yeah.
put him out of his misery. Um, let's see. We got let's see. Wizard Sleeve says, "Did you like Ethan Van Sciver's Green Lantern Rebirth?"
Yeah, can't tell you how many times I've read Green Lantern Rebirth. It's out of this world.
Yeah, yeah. Very solid stuff. It seemed like that was kind of a resurgence period for that character.
Yeah, I remember like there were so many DC titles I was picking up during those years. Like it really kind of gave like a whole spark to the entire line. It was really great stuff.
Yeah, yeah. What about in terms of you bringing in some of your influences into the work that you do? What is it that you're bringing in regards to the storytelling, the characterization, that kind of thing? What has inspired you about those properties, those characters, those books?
Yeah, so the Ace is very much inspired by Green Lantern. For anybody who's read it, it takes place mostly in outer space. It's about a young man who discovers an armor that gives him enhanced abilities, and he gets introduced to this whole new world of alien spaceships, different planets, all this kind of bigger than life stuff. So Green Lantern is a very kind of, it felt natural to me. I've read so many Green Lantern books and so many kind of issues and stuff, that writing for outer space, writing for different alien races, the kind of bigger than life kind of epic storytelling is something that I've tried to tap in as much as I can for the Ace.
Do you like sci-fi outside of comics?
Yeah, I'm a big Star Trek fan, especially like Next Generation. I always thought they did a great job of like telling kind of human stories, mixed in with kind of like these kind of allegories with different alien races and all this kind of stuff. I always thought like stuff with Data specifically some of the episodes that focus on Data himself were super like interesting and well done. And even after all these years, they still kind of resonate. I think it's just some really great writing overall. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what are you seeing nowadays among storytelling that both makes you feel a bit sad and a bit hopeful?
Uh, I mean, I'm seeing just for the sad, seeing a lot of stuff. A lot of other people I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of characters. You know, that are basically acting out of sorts. Like you read certain kind of mainstream heroes, and you go like, the people have they never read a Batman book before? Why is he acting like this? Why is he talking like this? This would
Hmm.
be nothing like any other Batman comic I've read. Like what is going on here? There's a huge disconnect from the people that are writing comics at the present moment. That they don't treat these characters with respect and reverence. And that's kind of been a pattern. Kind of I tapped out around like 2015ish of mainstream. I'll tap in
Oh,
a couple
okay.
of things here and there, but I've saw kind of like the steep decline happening across both brands, and it's only gotten worse. For I have buddies who still collect issues, and they tell me stuff like, I don't know how much longer I can keep buying this. Like it doesn't connect with me, and I'm like, buddy, you got to check out this indie stuff. Like I know you love your Batman and you collected it for decades, ever since I've known you, buddy. But you gotta, they're telling you you might want to look elsewhere. And what I'm
Yeah.
seeing from like that's positive is I'm seeing just tons of talented guys telling the kind of classic stories that I grew up on. You know, I'm seeing guys really bringing the heart back. When characters that and stories that come from like a genuine place. I'm not seeing anything forced, in any sort of way. Like, when I'm buying books, like the last comic I read was Swarm, by my buddy Shane. It's kind of like I'd say kind of like classic kind of 80s superhero storytelling. Like it's something that I haven't read in like so long. I almost forgot like how you can tap into kind of that John Byrne vibe. And he's not the only one doing that, man. There's tons of guys. I've seen new projects all the time that I get excited. Like I'm like, oh, that's cool. I never thought of that concept before. And all that excitement is in the indie sphere right now. Like that's the projects I'm looking forward to. That's the books that I'm backing and spending my money on. There's a lot of good talent, man. It's really improved over the last 5 years that I've been probably like 5, 6 years or however long it's been that I've been kind of studying the indie scene. And that gives me hope because there's a lot of people that have kind of that same mindset. We want to make comics that'll inspire people, that'll give them, if you're having a hard day, you can pick up a book and just kind of just vibe out to it and get into the world and stuff. And that's what this world needs. I'm a huge proponent of superhero comics. I think they can do something that no other kind of form of art or storytelling can do. But we need to get back to the core of them. And obviously, everybody puts their own little twist on it, but it comes from the heart. It's really foundational. And I think that's needed now more than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it about the superhero that you think is so important? Something that really needs to be here?
Yeah, I like the idea of having, really kind of base good and evil. I think when we've gotten into a world where everything is shades of gray, where everything, everybody wants to defend all sorts of nonsense. And I like the idea of like, no, like we're trying to take down bad guys. You have Superman, you have Batman, and you have Joker. You know, like we're not trying to convince you Joker's making good points when he's on a spiel. No, he's a murderous psycho. All right, and it has to take him down. Like that clear kind of black and white. And like I said, there's a lot of nonsense going on right now. So I think that's what kind of separates superhero stories. And you can differentiate the good and the bad. You kind of
Mm.
get back to like that classic storytelling. Like I said, that's been missing for a while.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because it, I see a lot of stuff and I wonder, is art imitating life or is life imitating art, or is there a bit of a both of a thing going on? Because it's strange how many things are coming around where it feels like you are supposed to have sympathy for the devil, that kind of a thing, you know? And the more that you
Hmm.
do that, I think it's a slow descent into madness because you keep moving that goalpost over and over and over again, and before you know it, you're somewhere that you never thought you'd be. Like 10 years ago, you wouldn't be doing whatever, or accepting whatever you thought that would have been okay. And I'm not saying about, obviously we all make different changes and we grow as people as we get older, and you get wiser, you have more experiences. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking more about accepting some pretty nasty stuff and being kind of okay with it, because you've been like slowly convinced to be okay with tiny little things along the way. And it's interesting how that happens, and we've seen that happen throughout history, and it doesn't ever lead anywhere good. But it seems like in stuff like this, in terms of fiction, we are losing a lot, I think, out of not having almost like a moral compass within a lot of storytelling. The ability to have like any sense of morality, or any context given to current situations, current characters, whatever it is that they're going through, and then putting that sense of morality upon the story itself, and having I think a more impactful story on top of it. Are you seeing anything in particular in terms of what's happening within the world of storytelling? Are you seeing anything that makes you really kind of just stand back and go, you know what, this is the path, this is the way, these people are doing it great? Are you seeing anything that specifically that you can pinpoint and say, no, you don't have to name any names or anything like that if you don't want to. It's positive stuff, so feel free. But anything that's making you go like, this is the way, if we do more of that, I think that's a really great thing, and we should go down and continue on that path.
Yeah, it's lots of great names that I can give. Like, I'm a fan of Mark Polton. Mark's a guy who's worked, in the mainstream, and he's putting out, great project after project, and really putting care and work into what he's doing. Guys like the Diaz brothers, these two young guys who are coming in and kind of bringing a new energy and different sorts of storytelling. Getting covers by Bisley. Like really just kind of bringing their characters and their worlds to life, and creating, a real kind of legacy for the future. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff coming from them, and they're just countless names. And like I said, right now, the indie sphere, it doesn't really matter, any labels or anything, but there's like an excitement, a palpable like excitement. You can feel it, like the ideas are coming this way. People have had enough of the sheer complaints for complaining's sake. That's gotten tired. That was 5 years ago. Like, now it's about action. Now it's about putting your foot down and saying, look, all right, we gave them their shot. Now it's our time. That's our time to create, to come up with something cool, exciting, original, feeding a market that I think is starving for these kind of stories. So yeah, I've been super excited about what I've seen the last couple of years from different people from all sorts of places that are still in this indie sphere. And I know more people are coming, so that's exciting.
Yeah. What do you think? Makes a compelling and interesting story, or character too?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different things that go into it, and also depending kind of like what your own kind of proclivities are. Like for me, I'm drawn to like character designs initially. Like, let's say King Cryptid. When you first started showing our stuff to that, like, I'm not really like a cryptid person, but when I saw the characters, I was like, that's really cool. That's really like something different. And that's the first
Thank
hook.
you.
And then I kind of saw some of your process and some of like the stories that you're trying to tell, and you have a clear plan, the issues you want to do, and all that stuff. All right, now we're kind of giving me more to get into it, and I'm seeing a lot of that stuff. People with a clear plan, clear objective in storytelling, great character designs, fantastic art. I mean, the stuff I've seen from the indie sphere, would be mainstream right now. But these people can't get jobs for some reason.
Yeah. It's interesting. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there is? It's strange. It's like it's flipped, right? Because there's a lot of really high quality stuff in the indie sphere. I mean, I've been doing this for 17 years, and 17 years ago, like you could tell, yeah, that's an indie book. You know what I mean? You weren't seeing too many people that you were like, wow, man, this is better than the mainstream. This is better than the big two. But there's so much more of that now where you're seeing quality art, you're seeing interesting characters, and if these people had the same resources as the big two or some of the other top publishers or whatever, they'd be, I think, I think they'd be destroying the top publishers. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's flipped like that?
I think, I hear stuff about, I have no insider knowledge or anything, but I do hear a lot of stuff about, artists can't get a page rate anymore. Guys that would normally be working like a couple, there's no work for them. Like, these comics are selling, the percentage that they would make off certain number of issues, they can't get that anymore. So people are seeing like it's an open lane. And right now, the cool thing about indie comics is there's no barrier to entry. Nobody can stop you if you want to come out with a great project. And the different sites that give you the platform, or you can create your own site to push it. And people, like I said, they're starving for something new. So you can have, people trying new things, and you're seeing that stuff pay off. So right now, it feels like the early 90s. Excuse me.
Yeah, in terms of that excitement.
Yep.
And that kind of feels like anything's possible in the realm of the characters and the stories and things like that. It is interesting because the bigger companies, though, they have their resources at their disposal, and they have that brand power behind them. They seem to be far less willing to take a genuine creative risk. They're more comfortable with treating characters like they should just reboot them or put on a new suit, or treat sexuality, gender, etc. like it's a new suit, like it's a costume change. They're more apt to doing that at times, it seems, than actually coming up with a new character. And I know that there's a lot of creators that feel like, oh, I don't want to give them my character. I got a good character and I want to save that. But at the same time, I'm really wondering, wouldn't someone in corporate realize maybe that's what's happening? I mean, many of them have actually flat out said that, like publicly. You'd think they'd realize maybe we should just get like a character development team going and then just have people develop new characters for the company and then work them into the stories. It's interesting to see that occur within indie, where people just come up with stuff all the time, and yet meanwhile it feels very stagnant. It feels like, wow, they haven't had, I mean, honestly, I can't remember them having a new impactful popular character in a very long time. Like a new character. Yeah, like that first appearance, was like, wow, everybody's got to get that first appearance issue because this character is taking off. I can't remember. God, I want to say, man, sometime in the 90s, and I'm just guessing that.
Yeah. I mean, that was when people were really tapping into like the strengths of comics, and that's why you saw these great characters. Different, X-Force is the number 2 selling book of all time. Because people liked what they saw on the page. They saw these bigger than life characters and they wanted to read them. And that's how you capture people. You give them something that pops off the page. I can't tell you how many times I would go to my spinner rack and I would just look at covers and I'd just be like, what's standing out to me? Like, and if you can hook me, I'd pick it up, and you got a monthly follower, and I'm following that comic until it gets canceled. And, it became a while. I would go to like my local comic book shop and I'm looking at stuff and I'm thinking like, the art isn't really popping me. The characters aren't as dynamic as they used to be. What's going on here? And that's started to like the pile started to dwindle more and more every month.
Yeah. It's like exciting storytelling and characterization took a backseat to whatever. name it at this point, anything and everything other than. And I think a lot of everything for that reason in comics really suffered for it, and it probably did put a lot of creators who wanted to do their own thing and they were talented enough, absolutely, to work within the bigger companies. They said, well, why should I? And that's what I like seeing a lot of what you've been describing tonight in terms of the entrepreneurial spirit. I talk about that a lot on this show in terms of creators not needing to just be comic creators, but also view themselves as entrepreneurs. Be proactive, care about what you're doing. If other people are caring far more about what you're doing than you are, things have kind of gone askew. So I love seeing people that are really passionate about their stuff, that are out there, that it means a lot to them. And I think readers love seeing that too. What do you think some of the stuff that can be done, or is being done even, if you're seeing it, among indie creators, where they can kind of step it up into taking their, whatever it may be, their skills, their promotion, their quality? What do you think they should focus on to help get them out there and down a path of success?
One of my biggest things, is fulfillment. It's a dirty word sometimes, but the idea that people can expect your product in a timely manner. I think after the initial kind of bubble burst, I think customers are being a lot more judicious with their dollar. They want to see that they'll get what was promised to them. And customers are super understanding about delays for different situations, but if you can get yourself on a good schedule, if you can put out the book, if you say it's coming in 6 months and it starts in 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is, they're happy. Nothing's better than when I backed tons of books. When I get a book and I'm thinking, hey, isn't that supposed to be shipping right now? And next thing, a couple days later it comes, and I'm like, oh no, this guy was right on point. I make a note of people who deliver in a timely manner. That's what I'm looking for. And I think the idea of we've gotten through like the rough starts, but now there's no real excuse to not, have a plan, a set schedule. Like I said, my books haven't made any kind of great amount, but I've fulfilled 4 campaigns, all 4 in a timely manner.
That's great, man. Yeah,
people need to see the books that they pay for, and I take pride in that. So that I think that's a big thing that people should really focus on. Get the books in people's hands. They'll become fans and they'll come back again for the next one if you give them what they pay for.
Speaking of, for those that don't know, what are those books? What's the name of them?
Yeah, so the Ace Volume 1 and Volume 2 were both crowdfunded through Indiegogo. Those were fulfilled. Bloodbone, the initial campaign, was fulfilled, and then the Raid of the White Leopard. Basically, I have handful of issues that will be out in the next 2 weeks, and everything should be shipped out of Raid of the White Leopard by the end of the month, and that'll be 4 fulfilled campaigns.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. I'm sure that. Actually, I'll let you answer this. When you did your first one, what were some of the hurdles you faced?
Oh, man, everything. Like literally, you're talking about a complete newbie. Luckily, I had great guys, guys like the Diaz brothers, Sim, a lot of guys who I could kind of lean on and find out what printer to go to, which, where to get mailers, where to get like the most basic stuff. They basically taught me up, and so I was able to kind of get Ace out on time, get it fulfilled, and it was really probably the one of the most proudest things I've ever done, being able to take on that first issue, complete it, get it out to people, and get positive feedback and reviews. So yeah,
that's great. So from the first one to now, how have things changed for you?
I was just learning to tighten everything up, trying to weight down on the shipping time, just learning to be more judicious as far as, not to like overspread and overpromise on campaigns, keep it to a set budget. Each campaign brings us different challenges, and, For Ace 2, I had like a couple week delay because of I got a bunch of damaged books from the printer, which would cost a whole situation that I had to deal with and kind of fix and make sure that people got their books. So like, each campaign brings its own challenges, but I was kind of be able to learn something from each one. And I think, with my current campaign, Bloodbone, the I'd expect to start shipping in February. That's going to be probably the quickest turnaround I've had, you know. So
That's
it's
great.
a learning experience, trying to get better each campaign, get tighter, get everything out quicker, and then making sure people get their books.
That's awesome, man. For this series, what are you having planned? Are there extra or more issues to come?
Yeah, Bloodbone's going to be an ongoing series. The number one is scheduled to be out later next year. It's going to have art by Joe Ball, and it's already in the process of working on it. Pages are being delivered and everything. The idea is to kind of get as much of it basically done, get the print file ready, and then, like I said, run the campaign and then ship out the books. I'm trying to make it as tight as possible. Each campaign that's I'm trying to top it, because I think it's really important to really kind of. I built up, like I said, 4 fulfilled books. Bloodbone start shipping in February. Get that will be number 5, and just kind of continue that momentum. Like I think when people start getting used to seeing your name, your books come out, and all that, I think that's good. Less wait time, all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to do my best to kind of get everything out, a couple projects a year, and really nice.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something people forget too. Is that uh, the big two? Let's say they've got like 70 to 80 years, maybe a little more, in
Yeah,
terms of being around. Give Edwin 70 to 80 years, and
yeah,
then he'll be just as known worldwide. You know
that's
what I mean?
right.
It's that kind of thing where you said you've been doing this in 2018, right?
Yeah, about yeah.
Yeah, so like 5 years,
Hmm.
and you're gonna have essentially about 5 books in 5 years. That's pretty great.
Yeah,
And I think that's the thing with a lot of the indie creators out there, is that if they keep doing the thing consistently, they keep getting stuff out there and keep trying to make it as best as they possibly can, they're going to get better and better over time. Then like 5-10 years is going to go by, you're going to look back, and all of a sudden you've got a catalog of books that you've created. You've got a whole bunch of what has happened over that time. You never could have possibly imagined when you first started, but you have to
no,
keep at it.
yeah. It's like the dream was just to get out Ace number 1. That was all. That was my big dream. I want to be able to put out number 1, and then kind of all that kind of the hard work. I'm able to put out. I'll be on working on Ace Volume 3. Should be around springtime next year. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, Rachel, 50 more years, and then I'm like about 90. So that adds up.
there you
That
go.
adds up. That's fine by me. Um, Wizard Sleep says, I wish all you indie people would get together and have one warehouse to get all the books. Man, it's that's like a dream scenario, and I only say it's a dream because I don't think that's ever going to happen. And if that does happen, I think we're going to see the same problems that the current comic industry faces. I think there
Yeah,
was so much centralization across the board, thinking that, well, this will be for the best. But the more you have a centralized source, it kind of it breeds something nasty.
yeah,
Keeping everybody like in the intro of the show, Hermes says, "Let's be independent together." Keeping
yeah,
it on that level, you
yeah. It's
know,
a great phrase. Yeah,
yeah, it helps you to kind of be able to pivot to maintain your own kind of sovereignty, and also to work with each other and to cooperate as opposed to being dependent. And then dependency can breed resentment very fast. So, but I definitely understand what you're saying. In a perfect world, uh, Boombots has a question for you. Says, does Bloodbone have any superpowers?
he does. He has a superhuman strength. He's got enhanced speed, and he's got very, I would say, close to impenetrable skin.
What was that? I didn't want to cut you off. Was that it?
Yeah, those are the three. Yeah.
Okay. Um, is this set in our world? Is it set in on
It's
Earth?
set in it's yeah, it's set on Earth. Basically, a metropolis type of city. There's no big superheroes or anything. They do have a bunch of enhanced humans. That's kind of like the phrase that I like to call it. And kind of based very much on like the kind of early. You have characters like Doc Ock, the Vulture. So you have characters that have like different enhancements, but there's no like Supermans or anything like that in this world.
Oh, okay. Would you classify Bloodbone as like an anti-hero?
Yeah, he's definitely somebody who's doing the right thing, but he's doing it through extreme measures. And he's definitely very much of that ilk.
So he kills people?
He does kills a lot of people. A lot of big high body count each issue, yeah.
I like how you said that he kills a lot of people.
A lot of people, yeah. Yeah. Don't worry, they're all bad guys, so you don't have to worry about it.
There you go. um, for the villains within the series, what are a couple of those?
Yeah, so he's basically looking to take down this corporation, and it's basically they basically hire the worst of the worst. They use violence, intimidation, all sorts of dirty tactics to basically take control of this large city. They bought off the politicians, they own the cops, and basically have free reign to do whatever they want. So basically, Bloodbone has to start from zero. You get introduced to him taking down this meeting from the organization. He takes out a lot of their underbosses, and basically his idea is to get on the corporation's radar. So now he basically, by the end of the issue, he's basically has his name known, and he's kind of a target, and he's gonna try and use his skills to kind of start taking down the corporation one by one. And he's gonna be facing a lot of different threats. They're gonna be sending a lot of different people to take him down, and he's gonna have to figure his way out through them. And that's kind of like the fun thing. Each issue is gonna present a new challenge, a new enemy, and you kind of start finding more about Bloodbone's past and also what the corporation's motivations are in each issue. So we'll give you a little bit kind of each issue, and hopefully, by the end, you'll kind of see the whole big picture come together.
What kind of research are you doing for this book?
Just a lot of comic book reading right now. Just coming up with a lot of different ideas. One of the things I'm trying to get better at is writing action scenes. Trying to come up with something that's dynamic and isn't basic. So Bloodbone's going to be very kind of towards the action genre. You're going to see a lot of different techniques and a lot of different stuff. So I'm just trying to, get better and kind of figuring out his style and kind of how he moves, how he acts, all that kind of stuff. Me and Joe kind of like kicking ideas around. So yeah, we're doing a lot of work on that.
Without being spoilery, what are some of his weaknesses? What are the things that make him vulnerable?
He's very kind of one-track mind, you'd say. So like I said, he shows up and decides to just tear stuff up, and there's a price when you do that. There's this weaknesses and the corporation will be looking at to test all his weaknesses, and you'll kind of see that they'll be testing him in all areas. So you'll kind of get to see like his strength and his weaknesses as the comic goes along.
Yeah, looks like I guess Spicer kind of had almost the same question I had. How do you achieve attention with a hero that's basically impenetrable?
Yeah, you got to give them enemies that are worthy. You got to give them people, like I said, that are going to test them. And so you'll see Bloodbone won't just be able to walk through stuff. He's going to be tested severely. And, the idea of Bloodbone is, you don't know who's safe in each issue. So you're going to see, he's going to get put to the test. That's one thing, like, you'll find from issue one on, they'll definitely, he's not going to just walk in and walk out the easy way. So, yeah, we'll definitely put him to the test, and we'll test him out and make sure that he's kind of worthy of the challenge, very kind of like the old, like, you know, hero archetypes. You know, they got to get tested. They got to go through the trials to get what they want. So Bloodborne won't be put through his trials. You know.
For the next generation of creators and readers that are coming up, but a little bit more, I guess, about the creators. What is something that you would want to tell them that you wish someone told you when you were starting out?
Biggest one would be take your time crafting your idea. You know, like I said, it took me a year before I was ready to introduce it to the world. You know, and that's just making sure that it was worthy people's time, attention, and money. You know, like you're selling not only yourself, your idea, but you know, like people want to know. They want to know if you have a plan for this character. Or you just winging it? And I think a lot of the winging it stuff was cool initially. You know, like it was kind of cool. People just wanted to support, but now people want to see a plan. I think they want to see structure. They want to see people know what they're doing. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I would tell them whatever your idea is, work on it. Take your time. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to make sure that it's good, that you feel comfortable just giving this to people, and they're saying, "Yeah, I would like to check this out." You know, as long as it takes you years, it takes you 2 years. You know, it'll be worth it. You don't want to rush something out because you might not get a second shot. You know, we've seen people who haven't fulfilled and they never got their books funded, and they had great art and they had cool covers and all this stuff, but the idea and the pitch wasn't where it needed to be. They needed more time to cook. So, you know, take your time with it. And then once your project's ready and you put it through the test and you had people read it and you just had them test it and all that stuff and you feel comfortable, then put it out to the world, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm still waiting on 3 books from 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know there's one that I backed 5 years ago that I know I'll never get. That hurt.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. We might be both thinking or talking about the same book. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's good advice. Solid advice, especially for those starting out, because that's a big thing that I see. And I've talked about this before, where people are they're it feels like they're rushing into it. It feels like they want to slap something together. They want to get it out there. They want to almost like there's some kind of gold rush regarding comics, which
Yeah.
that's not the case. No matter what has ever occurred ever at any point within the comic history, even in the '90s with the boom that they had, if you put out crap, it didn't last long,
Mhm.
you know. And soon enough, they put out a lot of crap, and then it really didn't last long. So people they gravitate towards quality, and they want to see people that care. I think they want to see people that are invested in what they're creating, and that it means something to them. Because if it doesn't mean something to the creator, and I've seen it a bunch, where it feels like it doesn't really mean a whole lot to the creator. They're just kind of getting the story out there because they figure like, hey, yeah, whatever, get a comic book. I like comics, whatever. And then they put out a book, and the same kind of care has gone into the book, and unfortunately, it often doesn't last. I think it puts a bad taste in the reader's mouth, and then it sullies, I think, a lot of great creators out there too, because even though we're all pretty much independent from each other, especially when you're using crowdfunding, there is kind of this association of like, oh no, it's a crowdfunded book. I've gotten screwed over by a bunch of these. I don't know if I want to back that, which is why I think it's important what you're talking about, because not only is that going to create a better product, but you're going to see that consistency, that stuff that you've been doing over the years, where you said 4 fulfilled projects. This is going to be your 5th. That's important stuff. Unhinged says, Edwin is aces in my book.
Thanks, brother.
There you go. But okay, so what's coming down the line for you? What's next?
After Bloodbone is the Ace Volume 3 campaign's about halfway colored right now. Waiting to get it fully colored and lettered before the campaign launches. So everything should be done by April at the latest. And yeah, it's going to be the third issue, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Kind of taking all the lessons from the first two issues, continuing the story, trying to make each issue better. The art I think has improved in each issue. I think people see a growth. I think if you hold all three issues in your hands, you'll see the growth in each issue. You see everything. The script has gotten tighter. Dialogue's been worked on more. Each book has taken a little longer than each, but it's just they have to be good. Like this is, I'm trying to improve each time out. So I think a lot of exciting stuff for that. And then later on in the year, it's going to be Bloodbone #1, me and Joe Ball. And it's going to be another kind of action-packed, insane issue. Anybody who knows Joe Ball's art, he's done Death, Death, Death. It's going to be a monster. And he's putting all that kind of same insanity into Bloodbone pages. So that's going to be a lot of fun next year.
I live in an apartment complex. Can you hear that noise?
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with that. I also live in an apartment complex. I've heard that more times than I want to say. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
All night with this. All right. Well, unfortunately, we're very, very close anyway to ending. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to wrap it just a couple of minutes short. Before we go, Edwin, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Edwin Aces. That's where you'll find out all the updates and any kind of news on anything I'm working on. So give me a follow. I'll follow you back.
All right. Fantastic. Everybody, go check out Bloodbone. It is on Fund My Comic. Is it on anywhere else right now?
No, exclusive to Fund My Comic.
Okay, exclusive to Fund My Comic, Bloodbone. The link is in the description of the show. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Edwin, thank you very much, sir. This was a great conversation, and I'm glad you stopped by. Really appreciate it. But my building might be burning down, but who knows? We'll see. Fingers crossed. I'll be back if everything's good. I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern with Mark Weiss, who runs Comic Books for Kids, which is a great charity. Also runs comic books for troops as well, and we donate to them a whole bunch every single year, and they've been great. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Until then, yes, I hope it doesn't as well. It's usually just a false alarm, but they always want us to get out of here. Until then, everybody, have a great night and an even better tomorrow. Edwin, thank you, buddy, and we'll talk soon. All the best, buddy.
Thank you.